Finding good bird photography locations can be a huge struggle, but today I got 6 tips for you that hopefully no matter where you live in the world, at least one of them is going to help you. Let's get started. The first tip I have for you is to use eBird. If you've never heard of eBird, it's a massive worldwide database where people from all over the world can log where they've seen birds. It's run by the Cornell Lab of Ornithology and it's completely free. You can actually download the app right onto your phone, and I've used this app whenever I've traveled anywhere, all across the globe. New Zealand, Australia, Canada, the United States. You can use it anywhere. There's people logging their birds from all over the world onto the app, and you can find out where in your area the best hotspots are or where people have seen the most birds. You can even search birds on it. So if there's a specific bird in your area that you're looking for, let's use wood ducks for example. If I want to know where wood ducks have been seen in my area, all I gotta do is go on the app, search wood duck, and boom. And I can even know to the date when people have seen them. It's a pretty amazing app. A lot of people have mixed opinions on eBird. It is a source that is out there and available for you to use. Use it responsibly. Tip number 2 is something you may have never thought of, and it's actually one of my favorites. And it's to go to local used bookstores. In everyday bookstores, especially if you're on a trip and you're going somewhere, most people will just pick up the basic field guide. One like this, like Birds of Arizona. These are great. They do work. I usually pick these up as souvenirs and I like to just look at the pictures while I'm traveling. And the field guides do help. But the best is when you can go to a local used bookstore and you can find the books that are out of print. They're normally by some scientist and they're just full of gold. Some examples. Where I live in beautiful British Columbia, I found this at a local used bookstore. Just Bird Finding in British Columbia. This book is incredible. Every place where I've gone and on road trips or even where I am on Vancouver Island, this book is full of little secrets that aren't shared on the internet, but they're shared inside the book. Incredible resource, used bookstores. Another one of my favorites. This one I use all the time. Where the Birds Are. I've never seen this in print. I found it at a used bookstore. It's incredible. It has all across the United States, all the major birding hotspots. I love this book. I use it all the time. None of this is sponsored. I just think going to used bookstores when you're traveling or even in your hometown, you might find like that BC one. I just found that in town and it's a major resource, especially for finding all different really cool rare birds. So anytime I travel, even this like really old one, I think this book is from the 70s, Australian Birds, is again full of little goodies and mysteries that you're not going to find online. Highly recommend used bookstores to find your best birding locations. Tip number 3 is Facebook groups. Local Facebook groups to be specific. When I was traveling throughout South Australia, I joined the South Australian Birding Facebook group. I typed in one little message in there, just said, hey guys, I'm Canadian, I'm coming traveling over here, just wondering where to go. Tons of people. Like it wasn't 1 or 2 comments, it was like 20 people. And it wasn't a little paragraph, it was a monster of a paragraph, giving me all the goodies, all the great stuff that I wanted to know. And I couldn't believe it. Honestly, local Facebook groups are the way to go. From my experience, people are very helpful. Don't ask for like specifics. Of course, don't go for the, where are the owls? You'll get attacked. But if you just come in as, be polite and general and kind and just say, hey, even if you are a local, it's a great way to meet other people. Hey folks, I'm a local person. Or even if you just move to a new area or something, Facebook groups, for the most part, do a little bit of homework and searching, but search the areas, check out Facebook groups. In my experience, they have been wonderful. Highly recommend for finding birds. Tip number 4 are the locals. And locals doesn't even have to mean somebody that lives there. An example of this is when I was in South Australia, I really wanted to get a photo of a hooded plover. Hooded plovers are endangered. There's not many of them left, and I love taking photos of shorebirds. Well, I didn't even know that I was in the right area to get a shot of one. I was at a little wetland out in the middle of nowhere, and I met this German guy. He was out taking photos as well, and he actually had walked up to me and asked me what I was photographing, and I said, oh, I was photographing this other little shorebird. And I asked him, I said, oh man, I misidentified the bird. I thought I was photographing a hooded plover or some kind. I wasn't sure if it was a juvenile. And he went, oh, no, no, the hooded plovers are back that way down the road and go down to the beach and you'll find tons of them. What? I thought that was amazing. I was like, really? Told him thank you, packed up my stuff, and because I talked to that guy, even though he wasn't a local, he had been in the area for a long time photographing birds himself, and he helped me out a ton. If I didn't have that conversation, I would have never on my trip been able to get that photo or even seen that bird. It was a huge, huge moment. I was so pumped because that might be the only time in my life I get to see that bird. And if I didn't have that conversation, that may have never happened. So talk to the people around you, talk to the locals. You won't be disappointed. Tip number 5 kind of ties in with tip number 3 and 4, and that's to join local birding groups. So not just talking to the locals at the pond or going online and talking to people, actually joining a group and going out with other people consistently. Sometimes just meeting one person one time or online, they're not going to trust you, right? We don't know if you're going to be posting owl locations or anything like that. So joining a group will gain more trust with people. You'll be able to have more fun. I don't want to sound like I'm like, you're going to gain their trust and then you're going to get them to tell you all your owl locations. And that's when you strike. That's not what we're going for. I just meant that people will like you. No, that makes it sound even worse. Get them to trust you, get them to like you, and then get them to give you all of their best locations. No, I don't do that. That's not what I'm trying to say. I'm just trying to say if you join a local birding group, it's a great way to meet friends and to actually get out and go and do more things. This is something that I've been trying to do. I've been really inconsistent at it because I know a lot of us, we like to go out and we like to do everything ourselves, but I could tell you right now, you're going to have way more fun even if you just go out with one other person every once in a while who's a buddy and you can share these moments with. It just makes it so much better. And you can learn new locations. And if, again, gain their trust, but become friends, then you can, it's better to share all these locations with somebody else and experience them together. Even if you find a rare bird together, it's better to have that shared experience with somebody than to keep it all to yourself. So join a local birding group, get out there, meet people, take photos of lots of birds together. No, we're not done. How do you find these birding groups? The way I did it, even if you just do a quick Google search of where you live, if there's nobody around, you're like, there's nobody even in my area, maybe you live in a rural area or something, that's when we go back to the other tip, Facebook groups. Go online and just try and find somebody. Say, hey, new to town. Hey, I moved to the area. Hey, I've lived here a long time. Got into birding. Anybody around want to go to the local conservation area with me? And then you can start your own birding group that way. Now we're finished. Now we'll move on. And tip number 6 for finding the best bird photography locations is... social media reach outs. Now, what do I mean by this? If you have any kind of following, I don't even care if it's 100 people, 50 people on a social media account of some kind, and it has in it that you can ask a question in your story, do it. If you're traveling somewhere, even if you're in your local area, put a little question in your story and say, hey folks, anybody know of any good bird photography locations around? This is probably, even though I've put it at number 6, this is whenever I'm traveling anywhere, this is the first thing I do. I get it. Oh, Trav, but you have an audience. Doesn't matter if you don't even have an audience. Even if it's just a bunch of people that you've met throughout your life and it's 100 people, put it out there. You never know. You never know where everybody's travels have taken them. And again, make it just general. I find this is actually one of the best things you can do if you're traveling. Whenever I've traveled, I've always put a message out there and I've gotten such great feedback from other people. I've actually had, the first time I ever went to Australia, pretty much my whole itinerary was designed by Instagram followers. It was incredible, the outreach that people gave me and the locations and where to go, where not to go, and they straight up made a whole itinerary for me. I just combined everything that they said, stacked it all together, and was like, whoa. Like there were some places like O'Reilly's Rainforest Retreat in Australia, would have never known that place existed. Wouldn't have been on my radar, nothing. It was thanks to Instagram followers that I even knew of that spot. So any type of social media call out like that, Just asking the question, putting it out there. Hey, anybody know of anything? Even if you get 1 or 2 messages back, that's better than 0. And it might help out. You never know where you're going to find that nice little honey hole. And actually, as a little bonus tip, I'm going to throw number 7 in here just because. Why not? Because I just thought of it right now off the top of my head. If you have any local birding guides, that can be a huge, huge help. I went to Las Vegas last year, and there's an awesome birding guide there, Dave Anderson. And he wasn't just amazing during the actual guiding day. He knew that I was going to be staying in the area for over a week, so he helped me out for that whole week. He gave me a whole list, itinerary of places to go and what to do and see. It was just incredible. So if there's anybody in your area that is a local authority, either a guide or somebody that works at one of a local conservation area, they would be a huge person to either hire or just ask. Highly recommend. There are tons of ways for you to find good bird photography locations, and at the end of the day, you just gotta get out there. Even if you don't even listen to me and do any of these, just get out there, find some awesome spots, and go take some photos of birds. Like, subscribe, and all that other stuff. I got a free ebook down below, linking in the description. Goodbye.